Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. What's up, everyone? There's a little break here before 2 minutes to go for the show tonight. This is the Morgan Thomas Show. You can see myself here with Mr. Houston Burnett. Big Al, Alan Adams, could not join us tonight, but we hope you will. Thank you for getting in the chat if you are all ready. All right. Thank you, everyone, for getting in and being a part of the show tonight. Again, every Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we talk all things Clemson Tiger football, basketball, baseball, softball, really whatever you want to talk about, but mainly the Clemson Tigers. And let's get the show started. I want to welcome in my co-host for tonight, Mr. Houston Burnett. Thank you for getting in tonight. You having a good week so far?
So far, so good. Can't complain. Football's going to be on the TV tonight. Thank goodness we've made it through the entire off season. And hey, I know it's going to be between two JV squads tonight, but hey, it's still football. I'll take it.
So there's football tonight. I had no idea. I was unaware. But it looks like that you are correct that there will be a game tonight. It's going to be the Hall of Fame game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, here's the thing. If you're a Clemson fan and you're not aware, you're probably excited about this. You're probably like, hey, I'm looking forward to this Jacksonville Jaguars team with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. I'm looking forward to watching those two guys play. If you're a Las Vegas Raiders fan that's a Clemson fan as well, you're probably thinking the same. I'm looking forward to seeing Hunter Renfrow and some other guys on the field. But what we're finding out is they're actually not going to play tonight.
None of them are playing. I was about to say, like, you're watching – there's really not much of a difference between watching this and a USFL game. It's just this one has different decals on it. So,
wow. Wow. That was a little harsh there. No different than a USFL game?
Yeah, they're not even playing their first two strings in this game. So you're dipping into the pool where you're watching these guys.
Well, I'm excited for football to be back. It's my favorite sport to watch on television. I like Formula One as well, but college football is by far the best. And then for me, NFL, I'm getting closer and closer to liking NFL more and more. I have actually watched just about every recap and highlight from the Jacksonville Jaguars season last year. So I'm actually getting more pumped up about it just because, the Roar, the radio station that we're associated with, they air most of the games, I believe all the games during the regular season, in the postseason if they do make it. But, so I was like, well, you know what I want to do? I want to learn more about the Jaguars and maybe make them my team. Now that's a slippery slope there because they're not very good. This is the second time in a row they've got the number one overall pick. So good thing is though, they've done pretty good. I feel like the last draft this season was really well done. Improved their offense and their defense. They improved their offense mostly by free agency. They improved their defense by the draft. I think they got some guys that could really contribute early. I look at the depth chart for the Jaguars, and on offense, man, there's a ton of buzz around Travis Etienne and him being back and being explosive from his Liz Frank injury that he had to overcome, which is a long process. It seems very small when you look at it on Google, but it is a very difficult thing to recover from. Parts of your foot, if you're a running back, you kind of need your foot to be 100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, not necessarily a Jags fan, but I'm happy for the other guys that they're doing well. So I hope Jacksonville does well.
Houston, you're kind of frozen there. Let me see if I can log you out here. Oh, there you go. You're back. So if you're a Jaguars fan, what were you saying? If you're a Jaguars fan,
I'm a Panthers fan. I'm not a Jaguars fan.
You're not a Jaguars fan.
No, not a Jaguars fan. But I hope they do well. I always tend to pull for like the southeastern NFL teams that they do well, just because they're not as like historic as some of the other NFL teams. So if Jacksonville does well, great. If not, then they just got to keep building. I think Travis and Trevor are going to do well there. It's just going to take a while.
I mean, I when I'm looking at this depth chart, there's a lot to like. I know people say, well, it's going to take a while, but if they've improved their wide receiver core from three guys, basically Marvin Jones Jr. and three other guys, or two or three other guys that were just not really good enough. Then they've gotten Christian Kirk. Then they've gotten Zay Flowers, who was good at Boston College. You remember him. And then, obviously they still have Marvin Jones. They added in Ingram at tight end. And again, with Travis Etienne being somebody who could play the slot position, who could play running back position and be out in the flats and catching balls. I feel like their offense has the opportunity to really make a splash. Now, they also upgraded their offensive line. They're saying that Tyler Shatley is going to be going to maybe possibly left guard because their center that they picked up from the draft is basically fighting and achieving his goal of becoming the starting center. And then they picked up, Sheriff right guard. So they really have done pretty well when it comes to upgrading their offense. Now, same thing goes on the defensive side. The thing that I worry about on the defensive side is actually secondary for the Jaguars. Now, again, the game tonight at 8:00 after the show, you're probably going to rather we just continue with the show because there's really not much going on outside of that. They're not having their stars playing, and so we really won't know what the Jaguars or the Raiders look like. But we're here to watch some football. So if you're just looking for football in general, I mean, it's tonight.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to watch. It's good to see an actual game being played between two recognizable teams in the fall. Nothing against the spring leagues; those are good for a rainy day. It was fun to watch the USFL when there was nothing else on, or this XFL 3.0 that they're doing next winter. But something about it starting up in the summertime, have something else on just in the Braves.
Let's get in and say hello to people who are already in the chat because we want the show to be a part of you, or you to be a part of the show as well. So Clemson Carson gets in and says, "What's up, guys?" He says, "I'm actually up in Clemson right now. Just hit up the Tiger Sports Shop." Well, we really appreciate you being a part of our show and also going by the Tiger Sports Shop and getting your Clemson gear. I'm wearing stuff from the Tiger Sports Shop. We love Sean and Julie up there, and they literally got everything that you could imagine. When it comes to, Clemson memorabilia, Clemson clothing, and little trinkets here and there, just all kinds of fun things for you for your Clemson tailgate. Before the fall season goes, we usually take a Saturday and we call it our Tiger Sports Saturday, where we just go up there the Saturday before and we just, get ready and make sure we have the nicest threads for the next Saturday for the game. So that's kind of, I should copyright that and I should tell Sean about the Tiger Sports Saturday. I think I'm going to text him about that tonight. Kevron gets in. He says, "Good evening, Big Al, Alan Adams, and Houston Burnett and Morgan Thomas." Well, Big Al's not here with us tonight. He had some other what would you say, Houston? Other entanglements?
Family
entanglements?
Family commitments. We'll
entanglements? Entanglements?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. You, man, I mean.
Oh, man. Well, welcome in. Thank you so much. And then Cooper Engel gets in, says, "What's up, guys?" Cooper, thank you for getting in, being a part of the show. We'd love to get you on the show for sure. And also, hear what you have to say about the new coach.
Yeah.
Kevron gets in, says, who's going to be the Clemson starting QB? Which is a funny topic because everybody wants to talk about it. And, Walt and Faxon, I don't know if you guys listened to the show Wednesday afternoon, got into a nice little discussion about, whether or not DJ was worth the time or not. I still feel like, hey, the best option for Clemson is for DJ to be the starter and to turn things around and to do awesome and to, help pave the way for the next group that's coming in, but solidify his name as a solid QB as well and redeem himself from last year. Bill gets in and says, "Hey, you two, Alan must be too busy for us." Yeah, I think that's the truth there. Bible Belt gets in and says, "Woo, what's up? Woo, by the way, woo, did you see any of Ric Flair's final match?"
I caught clips of it. I didn't see the whole thing. I've
man,
bloodied and beat up. He said it was his final match, 10 years ago, and he's still kicking. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think he's still going to be wrestling until he's dead in the ground. So,
Yep. He is, he's 73 years old, 16-time world champion. And, he almost had a near-death experience. He had a near-death thing going on. They got to the hospital, and they thought it was a goner, and he recovered. And then he promised and made a vow that he was going to wrestle again, and nobody really believed him. And he did it. 73 years old, man. But I will say this.
Oh.
It took, it was, it was not, the most entertaining match in the world, but it was nice. Nostalgia. You had Undertaker on the ringside. You had his family at ringside. You had Bret Hart was actually there. Mick Foley was there. There was a lot of people there, and the undercard was pretty decent. They had a lot of up and coming guys and new names in the wrestling biz that were out there to support Ric Flair and also show off what they can do as well. So, I mean, it says something for a guy like Ric Flair to be able to continue to do what he's doing at an age that he's at. I wouldn't say at a high level, but that's the thing. Can you really after the match, he says, I'm addicted to the fans, basically, and I keep coming back because of the pop and the cheers, and he just wants to keep wrestling, right? Yeah. And I think that kind of when I hear him this morning, I was thinking, kind of resembles the same thing Tom Brady's going through. He doesn't want to give it up either. I mean, it's not uncommon for these top athletes, the best in their business, to like hang on for dear life. And so many people say, oh, please just retire on top. Retire as I remember you as a kid. But, when you're that person, it's very hard.
Yeah, I mean, with Ric Flair, and if you haven't seen the ESPN 30 for 30 on Ric Flair, fantastic documentary. It's also probably one of the saddest endings of any documentary I've watched. I don't want to spoil what he's gone through, but the final statement that he makes in the end was like, "Can't say I was the best husband because I wasn't. Can't say I was the best. Can't say I was the best father because I wasn't. So I guess I'll just be the best entertainer of all time." And it's like, that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I mean, like thinking back, a lot of the wrestlers because I came around in the like watching WCW, NWO in like the mid to late 90s and early 2000s when I think wrestling kind of hit its peak because you had 3 different leagues that were going against each other.
Promotions.
I couldn't watch the WWF. My parents wouldn't let me watch that. So I would watch on Saturday mornings after cartoons. WCW would come on, and that was Sting and Goldberg, and Ric Flair was in WCW and all that kind of stuff.
Saturday mornings, I
watched I guess it would be a rerun. I didn't really know at the time. And then we would watch Nitro. I guess that was Monday or Wednesdays. It was
Monday Night Nitro.
Yeah, Monday Night Nitro. We watched that, and Dad would watch that with me. And the sad part is like, I look at Ric Flair and I look at Sting and I look at, I think even Goldberg does this too, is as nostalgic as you feel when you see them in the ring, you just can't help but think like, you really should have retired 20 years ago because, I don't, if I ever do have a son or if my daughter ever gets into watching wrestling, which I highly doubt that, but in case that is, I'd like for them to watch it in their own, like with its own characters, its own stories, instead of some literal 73-year-old man that's been wrestling since Starrcade.
It wasn't for the new fans, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was really more for guys like you and me and my dad to watch him. He brought out the big gold belt, the old WCW World Heavyweight Championship belt. You can buy that one. I went and looked it up. About $900 to get a
only $900.
Yeah, it was, and it is a a very, very close replica. For that. So you're freezing up again, Houston. Let me back you out and then throw you back in here. Let's see if that works. Now he's we're trying to get him in. We're trying to get you in. It says you have full bars.
Yeah.
But
I'm
maybe YouTube can see you, but I can't see you. Let me see. Let me go over on YouTube and see, and we'll keep going through the chat. And YouTube shows you're there. So it must be just me. Yeah. All right. So, Jeff gets in over on Facebook, says Big Al playing church league basketball game tonight. No, he actually is not. But thank you for giving him some support there. Pizza, no cheese. Pizza, no cheese? Pizza, no cheese? Why would you want no cheese on your pizza? He says, what? He said, what's going on, guys? Clemson Carson says, I'm excited to see ETN back, hopefully healthy now. Yep. Kevron says, is Big Al trying out for Wheel of Fortune? You know, Big Al's pretty smart. He probably could. He probably could do that. And then he says, yeah, it's a Clemson fan's paradise. Jared gets in and says, defensive leader this year. Sealskin's gone.
I think he meant to put Skalski. Man, you need to work on your
What a
auto.
typo.
How did you come up with Sealskin?
What a typo. What a typo there.
A typo.
Wow. Well, we'll go with Skalski. How about that? We'll go with Skalski. Let me ask you this. Is the linebacker group the biggest unknown for you going into 2022? I mean, they're basically replacing Spector and Skalski. So, you know, you would kind of think that, you know, that's going to be kind of a refresh there. It's going to be a new look. And the guys that are behind them, as Jared mentions, they're not the same. You know, they're not like Skalski. So who's up?
I don't think they're the biggest question mark, because you have Trenton Simpson, who's your anchor. Barrett Carter got meaningful reps. Between McGuire and Trotter, they also got meaningful reps. So is it a different looking linebacker core? And you also got Levante Bentley as well. Is it a different looking linebacker core? Yes, absolutely. It's different. But I think the difference is a good difference. I think it's a more athletic, faster brand of linebacker that Clemson's going to be putting in there. I mean, even Levante Bentley, he's not as maybe as loose and fluid as Trenton Simpson or Barrett Carter, but every time he gets on the field, you're like, God, he's a freak. Oh man. And so you're glad to see people like that on the field. I think the only question on defense that a lot of people will be asking is the secondary. And, you know, Landon Sanders being medically retired, spoiler alert for what we might be talking about later, is something.
I feel bad for that, man.
Yeah.
You know, like tough out for him to be able to fight back and then lose his spot and then get injured again 3 times in 1 year. It's just tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough, but I also don't think it's going to be as – I think the secondary has a lot of people coming back that seem to be dedicated. Fred Davis seems to have turned a corner. Sheridan Jones seems to be working out really well. Nate Wiggins, everybody's saying he's going to have an All-American type year. And then you've got Makuba, and Makuba, we know his ability. We know he's an All-American type player, but now there's talk of him shifting different positions, being somebody that can play corner, safety, even nickel at some point. So he's really intriguing. So although they may have question marks within the secondary, I think they're going to be versatile and multiple enough to really cover that and play really well.
And we don't have this scripted tonight. So really your questions are what we're going to go by. And we're just going to keep it rolling. We're going to try to go through as many question and answers as we can, and thoughts and emotional outbursts and anything that you want to talk about, we will talk about. Looking at the depth chart and looking at what we expect for the starting lineup for safety, you're looking at RJ Mickens and Andrew Makuba. You know, you're looking at Jalen Phillips and Tyler Venables back there in the free safety spot. And then cornerback, you're looking at Nate Wiggins, Sheridan Jones, Fred Davis, Toriano Pride. Linebacker, as we mentioned, really don't know exactly who's going to be the middle linebacker. You got Vonta Bentley, Keith McGuire, Jeremiah Trotter. We pretty much know that Trenton Simpson's going to be out there and more than likely be either your Sam or your Will. I'm hearing maybe Will linebacker this year. And then Barrett Carter. Again, I'm really excited for that tandem between Barrett Carter and Trenton Simpson. I think, as you mentioned, Houston, you're looking at a linebacker core that is getting exponentially faster. Now, Vonta Bentley, you know, he's more of a thumper to me, not going to be as speedy as the other two outside guys, but it's a good balance, I think. And it will bring more athleticism to that group. And then defensive end, we already know defensive end. There's really no question about it. You've got Miles Murphy, XT, KJ, Justin Maskell. Those guys are going to be rotating in and out a lot, and they're going to be, in my opinion, dominating, you know, the line of scrimmage and then the defensive tackle spot as well. Just absolutely stacked there. Tyler Davis, Brian Brissy, Trey Williams, Ruka Roro, E.T., Peyton Page, as you mentioned last week, Houston. I mean, they literally have DeMonte Capehart. They literally have so many options. Clemson's defense, I believe, could be one of the most deep that they've had in years. And so I'm excited to see what the Tigers can do in 2022 on defense. They were one of the top 10 defenses as far as defensive efficiency goes. They were one of the top 10 defenses as far as, I think, top 5 as far as total defense and yards allowed goes last year. So they were really up there with Georgia. They were up there with Wisconsin and battling them back and forth and holding teams to just a certain amount of points. And so the Tigers defense is, in my opinion, going to continue to be dominant, and you're going to be excited to watch them play every Saturday this season, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think defensively they're going to be fine. I think Wes Goodwin is being willed a great squad, and he's picked up recruiting pretty well. I would say probably defensive line has been the best unit they've recruited, although there has been some great defensive pickups and offensive pickups for that matter in this class as well. But I think defensively it's going to be, some different tweaks, but I think it's just going to be just as aggressive.
Myron Kell Brown gets in over on Facebook, says, "What's up, guys? Who's going to be our starting tight end?" Well, that's interesting to say. I mean, you got to see Jake Brenningstool kind of flash what he could do. He was on Kate Klubnik's white team for the spring game and scored a touchdown, I believe. And so I think that you're going to see him come on more, especially to me. I would be shocked if you have another year of, not being used in the passing game from the tight end position. Now, I know Kyle Richardson, he came out and said, well, we utilize a tight end. And then when they asked him further about it, he was talking about that they used the tight end, like they had him on the field. Well, that's not the utilization we're talking about as fans. We're talking about actually getting the ball in your hands and going and making first downs and touchdowns and things like that, like showing up on the scoreboard, showing up on the stat sheet, not just being on the field. And you've got a guy like Jake Brenningstool, who was higher rated coming out of high school than Brock Bowers, the Georgia SEC Freshman of the Year. Now, hey, did you know Brock Bowers? Do you know Brock Bowers' name? Yeah, exactly. So there is no excuse for Brenningstool to not be a household name as well, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, the other thing about this, though, is Brenningstool is going to get used this year, whether he's a starter or he's coming off. They're going to get him on the field. Whether he's named the starter, they may go with Davis Allen. And this is not a knock. Davis Allen is a good tight end. Davis Allen is a very good tight end. I also think that with the way they're going to do formations this year, you're going to get a lot of different formations, matchups, different things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some stacked tight end where you get them both on the field, create some mismatches, different things like that. I think Davis Allen will probably trot out first. I think he might hold the job too, but I also think as far as reps go, you'll probably see more reps go to Brenningstool.
Tyson gets in, says, Tyson in Arizona in the house. All smiles. We're glad you could be a part of the show. And, we appreciate, hey, while we stop for a second, don't forget, again, this is an impromptu. This is kind of just Q&A, fun, have a good time. Fireside chat. You want me to get the fireside going? You want me to get the fire going? No. We'll leave the fire off. But, well, maybe I can get the aquarium piped in again. Maybe I do that. But, again, this is your questions, your answers, your thoughts, your outbursts, whatever you want to do. We're getting ready for the season. Almost a month away. I think it's 32 days away from kickoff. And tonight there's a football game. It may not be all your stars, but it's a football game. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about it. But he gets in and he says, "What's good, guys? Big shout outs from NYC, but I'm moving to Dubai in a week. I'll be watching your channel out there as well. Well, we appreciate you watching the channel and continuing. Go Tigers. Hey, get over on Twitter at the Morgan T Show and send me a message. I'd love to talk to you more about what in the world you're doing over in Dubai.
Yeah.
So we'd love to talk to you some more about that.
You'll have to tell us where a good spot is to watch a Clemson game in Dubai.
Yeah, probably from the never-ending pool, that you can scuba dive down in like millions of miles down into the core of the earth.
That 80-mile skyscraper they're building just south in the desert. I guess he must be moving there. I don't know.
Oh man. I know it's a beautiful town. I know at least the rumors are, I think the Nationals there, the Dubaians, whatever you call them, whatever their nationality, whatever their name is, their country they want to call themselves. But the Dubaians, they get a stipend because they make so much money from oil that like everybody there is living well, which, hey, sign me up.
Oh, wait, hold on. Listen. So you don't know what country Dubai is, and you didn't pass GR.
I didn't say I don't know. I said I don't know what you call the people from Dubai. Dubaians?
They're from the United Arab Emirates.
I know, but I'm saying, I'm saying, do you call them Dubaians?
No,
like,
you would
call them New Yorkians?
People?
The Yankees?
I don't know. I guess.
Do they have a nickname? It's kind of basic. It's like its own city. It's like its own. It's like its own. It's like its own universe, man. It's like so different. I want to go. I want to go to the. Don't they have that man-made island that looks like a palm tree? They still have that.
They're throwing everything up right now. Like I said, they're building an 80-mile long skyscraper that's like 11 stories or whatever. That's a livable city. That's like a wall. And more power to them. Have at it. I wouldn't want to live in the desert, but some people do.
I mean, you can bring in, you can do sprinkler systems, Houston. You ought to know that. Tyson gets in. He says, Pennington 360. Holy cow. That kind of leads us into another question here, or something that was big on the radar today, in the news today, was the big weigh-in results was unveiled. Now, I talked to Mickey Platler this morning about it, and he said, what's the big deal? I mean, really, these guys, we're waiting by the phone on Twitter to get these weigh-in results for what? I mean, most of the time they are where they are, and they do what they're supposed to do. It's not like there's anything like outstandingly crazy, but let's go through a couple and we'll see. Now Tyson says Dietrich Pennington is at 360. Now I'm trying to find him. So 360 up from 335. Now last year, Dabo Swinney hyped him up big time to be a starter on the offensive line. Do you think it's a matter of time for Pennington to be a starter? There's an open spot, I would assume, at right guard.
Yeah, I mean, I everything that I'm seeing is it's his to lose as far as that goes. And I don't know what 360 necessarily means. I know it's a big weight for an offensive lineman. That's huge. But at the same time, he's a big guy. Like there's no getting around it. When he was coming in at 330, that's a monster. So, and he was injured. He had to go through everything. So I don't know. This could be partly, having to get back from injury, partly because he's had how many ever months to rehab and he's put on some muscle. He's just a big guy. So 360, I don't know, but it all sounds from all accounts that he's in the thick of it to be a starter.
Chat gets in, and then they're just letting me have it. They're like emeritus.
Emerites.
No, just kidding. Emeritize.
You sound like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards when he's talking Warlami.
Oh man, I'm bad, man. I'm bad. I'm sorry to the Dubaians. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to the Emeritians. I'm sorry. I don't Meriti. I don't know. I'm sorry for you guys. I'm not sorry for you guys. I'm sorry for me for not being able to pronounce your name. So let's just move on. How about that? How about that? We move on. Jay Jacob, so Sports Talk gets in, says, will Clemson ever use purple or white helmet for the military game? Now, hey, guess what? AP Pendergeist, Austin Pendergeist over on Twitter, put up an alternate jersey, all white with the orange stripes and the white helmet with orange stripes. Now, you see, I've got an orange helmet back here with the traditional style. I wouldn't mind dropping some more money to get an all white Clemson with an orange paw and orange stripes. The only concern is there wasn't really any purple in his version on the helmet. Yeah. So I was a little concerned there. But the all white helmet with orange stripes and the all white uniform with orange stripes looks very clean, Houston, but I just don't see it happening.
I don't see it. You're talking to the wrong person. I'm self-admitted. I'm the wrong person. I'm not a traditionalist when it comes to uniforms. Give them purple helmets, white helmets, black helmets, gray helmets, the whole thing. I love it. I love the way Oregon does it. I don't care as long as they're good. But if we're not going to give them anything other than what the traditional look is, I was on another podcast that's coming out soon. I don't want to spoil anything as far as that goes, but I mentioned, like, can we just get a little bit more purple on the pants? Like, just get a purple stripe to go along with the orange stripes. And that's it. Like,
so you want more purple?
More purple. Just a smidge more. Now, hey, like I said, I'm not non-traditional. If you put me in charge of the program, we're going wild uniforms every week. I don't care. But, like, if we're going to stay traditional, just give me a little bit more purple. Some trim on the pants along with the white pants and everything, because there's not a more crisp look than the all orange with the purple stripes down and the white stripe down the middle. Can we not just do that with a purple stripe down the middle of the seam on the white pants? It looks good, or something like that, kind of like back in 2002 when we had two purple stripes and an orange. It looks good. It's just a little bit more.
Do you think that and by the way, I just saw the chat. They said the Jags the Jags Raiders game is delayed right now for severe storms in the area. So guess what you get? You get some more of the Morgan Thomas Show with Mr. Houston Burnett. So if you're watching, if you wanted to watch that, first of all, if you're a Clemson fan and you wanted to watch it, you were going to be disappointed anyways, because there's literally, like, the best players are not playing. But anyways, yeah, where is the borderline? Where is the line, Houston, of you're caring too much about the jersey? Where is the line? Because, to me, Oregon is the line. I mean, they've crossed the line. They're doing it too much.
No, I mean, look, it's to each his own. Like, some people, obviously there hasn't been a team that, like Oregon, that does it every week and they have all the Nike money. But they're good. They've made it to the national championship game twice with all of this. So it's not like they're unsuccessful. But I also think, like, in an instance like Alabama or Clemson or Oklahoma, the old fogies that are out there are just like, no white helmet or no purple jerseys or anything like that. It's kind of ridiculous. Like,
how dare you even suggest that, Houston?
Well, I mean, and I'm gonna really make some people mad when I say this. This doesn't just apply to football. This applies. And Cooper, I know you're watching this, so if you're offended, man, get in the chat and tell me, and I'll keep my mouth shut. But, like, can we get rid of the stinking tight white pants in baseball? The tight seam pants on the leg that are all white. We don't have any gray jerseys in baseball. I'm not asking for anything that's insane in baseball. I'm just asking for a typical smoke gray away jersey and not be looking like the 1988 Oakland Athletics when we step out on the field. Just a slight alteration to our uniforms in baseball is all I'm asking for as far as that goes. A little bit of purple in football, a little bit of gray in baseball, and that's it. Now, I guess I'm more progressive.
You don't like white pants? Just because they're tight?
Well, also the tight, I don't know, man. Like, the slender leg pants don't look good. They look like they're from a different era. And I mean, you don't see that much in pro baseball. They don't look comfortable. The pants don't look comfortable. We're walking out there,
Yeah, because you're
know.
trying to show your booty off to the ladies. That's what you're trying to do.
Uh,
You're trying to get a girlfriend. That's the
maybe
thing.
you,
You got to
man.
show it off.
Maybe
By the way, chats, all guys gets in, or AU guys. You have to tell me. I can't remember. I never remember how to say your name, but guys gets in, says, get rid of the Block C stuff. And you're wearing a Block C hat. Is this a personal shot? Is this a shot?
Well, I'm not necessarily like Block C. Like, I'm wearing a Block C hat because I like the gray. Once again, I'm kind of a non-traditionalist. For a long time, I had a black and purple Clemson script baseball hat. It was my favorite. And if Clemson could ever bring out a black uniform in baseball, I would be all about it. I think that's not like, it's not really Clemson's colors, but just once, just to make everybody mad, we're all black. That would be amazing to me. Just
black.
There's one time. Think about it, man. Little orange trim, an orange helmet, black. Oh, dude, it would be awesome.
No.
Like I said, I'm not a traditionalist when it comes to uniforms, in the sense that we should be able to stick with one uniform, change it up every now and again. I'm okay with that.
No. All right. Going back down the chat here. We got so many people in. I'm like 600 comments behind. All right, Houston. So we gotta speed it up here. Corey Bryant says they seem to be bulking up the guards, and Barrett Carter down 15 pounds. Interesting. I'm looking at Barrett Carter. It says he's up 15 pounds. Yeah. He was 225. Now he's 240. And the linebacker goal for the Clemson Tigers is 235, 240-ish. So you got Keith McGuire, 240, Barrett Carter, 240. Just looking at that list that's on the screen right now for me. So it seems as if those linebackers are yet again hitting their mark. AU guys says not many people talking about Tyler Davis.
Well, I don't think he's watched the show enough. I think when Al's here, Al will eat his microphone talking about how good Tyler Davis is. And look, I think I tend to agree. Although he may not be the largest of the bunch in the D-line, his presence is missed when he's not on the field. Let him sleep on Tyler Davis, but he's going to have a great year. I think this is going to be what propels him into the league.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, let's see. Oh, they got a search here. Tyler Davis, 301 this season. So yeah, I mean, I expect him to do big things, bigly. Those guys are going to be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Sacks from everywhere on the field. I agree. Tyson says, yep, looks like most of the two-deep offensive line, 300 plus. I was going to do that today or maybe later tonight. I was going to go on and see what the average was of the offensive line last weigh-in, or maybe the last two weigh-ins, and then see what the average was for this weigh-in. I'm assuming, as everybody is kind of getting hyped about, is that you're going to hit over 300 here, because I think a couple of years ago, Houston, there was a time where the average was like 287 or 289, and not even 300 was the average. So there was a concern there from the fan base and others alike to say, hey, we need to get bigger and badder and fatter, or we'll say more muscular on the offensive line, specifically meaning to go be at or over that 300 mark. Houston, do you think it's like a must? Like if you're the offensive line coach, you're saying, hey, you must be at 300?
You have to. I mean, if you want to compete for championships, you need to be. At least the majority of your line. I'm not saying that every lineman that's under 300 pounds is not any good or anything like that, but your chances go up. And I think with what Clemson's really focused on is recruiting, is getting the big body guys, road graders, guys that are just mean and will bully you, and they're 300 plus pounds. And you're right. 6 or 7 years ago, I mean, I'm thinking about Corey Lambert, who was like 287, 285, guys that may have been faster developmental guys, but they weren't going to play in the pros. I think Clemson has really changed up its philosophy. It's taken a long time to do, too. If you think about it, they've even gone through Mitch Hyatt, who was a very good offensive tackle, and it's taken all the way up until now, until we've had all across the board 300-pound guys depth amongst those that are really good. So, yeah, I think it's necessary if you want to compete for championships.
Hufferbilly gets in over on YouTube, says, with our safety going out, Landon Zanders, it hurts our depth there. You now have Mickens and Phillips, which we talked about this morning. It makes it even more important that you have Phillips that stayed, because Phillips had an opportunity to maybe look for greener pastures. Also, same thing for Tyler Venables. He had an opportunity where he could follow his dad and chose not to. So it helped with the depth chart. And then you have behind that two guys, Sherrod, Kovale, and Kylan Griffin, who Kovale looked great to me. I have him as one of the guys to watch for as a breakout star, or as a guy who would surprise people in 2022, because he's a true freshman. And so I liked what I saw from the spring game. But then you have Mickens and Makuba, who I feel like are two amazing players, and Venables and Phillips also, who are very solid players. So you do have a two deep there, but outside of that, it's straight to true freshmen. So I would agree there is a little bit of a depth concern there. I think Clemson fans in general are just always worried about injuries now, considering what's the past 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as you're able to stay healthy, which is not. Morgan, you got do you have like fake Siri on or something like that?
My watch, yeah.
There you go.
I pressed the button. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, injuries are always a concern, but at the same time, if the majority of them stay healthy, it's not as bad of a hit. You've got a lot of guys, Mickens, Makuba, like the ones that you just mentioned earlier. So yeah, there's always concern, but I feel like, I think Clemson's going to be able to bounce back from this in their secondary.
Tyson says they can attack with the defensive line in waves. Tyree says, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, Tyree? Thank you for getting in. Hey, everybody, make sure you hit the like button. That will help us. If we have, a certain amount of people watching, say 30 people watching, hit the like button. That'll help our algorithm. And if you really want to be helpful, share it with a friend. Send it in a text message. Say, hey, check out this show. Come join me next Thursday, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
John says we've still got good safety depth. I mean, we just kind of talked about it. You do have a good two deep, but after that, it's true freshmen.
Good true freshmen.
Do what?
Good true freshmen.
Oh, yeah. True Tyson Dorian better bring a lot of, for that, Dave O'Doran, or Doran, I guess is what he's trying to say. Better bring a lot of lube for that NC State game.
Well, yeah.
Well, the cat's out of the bag here. We're kind of aggressive towards that game. I'm telling you, the fans are very, very much ready.
I don't think NC State has had a night game in Clemson in how long? It's been a long time, probably since about, let me do my math in my head here. Probably since about 2002 when they did beat us, when NC State beat Clemson in 2002. So that's 20 years if it's a night game since NC State has played in Death Valley at night. And I can tell you, if it ain't a Thursday night game like it was last time, 20 years ago, and it's a Saturday night, NC State's going to be in for a rude awakening with a gassed-up crowd in Death Valley.
Edward gets over on Facebook, says, what's up? 12-0 regular season, 13-0 with ACC championship and playoffs.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow that? Okay. Jared gets in, says, my opinion, Dabo should have hit the portal for a seasoned QB. If DJ doesn't pan out, not sure if Klubnik can fill that seat as a freshman. Well, he did go to the portal for a seasoned QB. He just happened to be, Hunter Johnson.
Well, let me take this one. If you got a seasoned QB, look, you're putting a lot of faith in Klubnik, and maybe he doesn't have it this year, but he's going to build up and be the guy in the future for what you're doing. I think Klubnik's got the moxie to take over and win now if push came to shove. I'm not saying that DJ is going to get dethroned or anything. I want DJ to do well. But I also think it's not fair to somebody like Cade, who's come in, done everything right, got 20 pounds or 15 pounds of extra weight on that he's moved into, and then have another guy come in and take over for him for a season. Also with DJ, look, we don't know if last year was just a complete aberration. He had personal stuff going on. He was injured, everything like that. And he comes out this year and looks like DJ in 2020. What kind of messaging are you sending to your guys, right? That's the reason why they're going with this. You also have a lot of strict kind of chemistry details that you're looking at when you're bringing in a guy. They were looking at offensive linemen, seasoned, somebody who's all conference, somebody who fits our culture. And if you just get a guy who's a seasoned quarterback and is kind of a jerk, what is that going to do to your locker room? The thing that you've spent a decade building up as your program, to just let somebody in who may or may not meet that to be an issue. I'm ready to roll with either DJ or Cade because I think they're successful. And I think when you're saying, I think he should have just gone and gotten a person out of the portal, you're dismissing evaluations that Clemson made. And I don't think they made a misevaluation on DJ. I think they evaluated him fine. It's just external circumstances may have happened in the last year that changed him up going into 2021.
A lot of discussion about our fashion talk. Somebody said, he didn't realize that this was a fashion show or a fashion podcast.
Yeah,
somebody else also said, heck no, Clemson should never wear all black. I agree. Clemson should never wear all black. Now, some people said, hey, what about baseball doing all grays like softball? All grays on softball look pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is you don't even have to have it that like theirs is like dark, like almost like a dark gray. I'm just talking like a braid like this, light gray. Put a tiger script on there.
That's kind of like a pewter.
Yeah, pewter. I'm not looking for that. You need something this light.
It's a little bronze. Yeah, it's got a little brown tones in it.
Put a little bit of purple with this, and it'll look sharp.
Purple and brown? I don't know, man.
Or purple and gray.
You're losing me. You're losing me here.
Purple and gray. Purple, orange, and gray.
All right. Some other big highlights from notable results from the weigh-in. This is from 24/7 and Anna Adams, newly married Anna Adams there. Brian Brissy, 307 up from 300. Jake Brenningstool, 227 down from 235. Barrett Carter, 240 up from 225. Fred Davis, 202 up from 190. Jaden Lucas, 193 up from 185. Keith McGuire, 240 up 10. Justin Maskell, 253 down 7. Mitchell Mays, 316. Andrew Makuba, 180 down from 185. Joe Ngata, 215. Now, Houston, you mentioned this in our chat, in our chat today with the hosts, that makes you feel good. Joe Ngata loses a couple pounds. You think 5 pounds could be a big difference for him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for him and Adam Randle, I think the weight that they have, like Ngata needed to slim down a little bit, get quicker. And if he's able to translate that and stay healthy all year, he's a big body and he's going to be a problem. The one I'm interested in seeing once he's healthy is Adam Randle. There's a lot of people that are like, 230 is too big for a wide receiver. I'm like, let's pump the brakes. He tore his ACL, and I'm sure he's had certain things that he can and can't do within his workout structure. So I'm sure he's going to lose some of that weight before he hits the field. But at the same time, he came in weighing as much as Joe Ngata. He came in at 215. Okay. So weight that he's added, if he's at 220 or 222 and he's able to handle his body and not lose speed, that's an animal. That is going to be something if he's truly as built as he was in the spring. Because Morgan, you and I know that they were talking about Adam Randle as a specimen, a freak, someone who was taken over in practice before he tore his ACL. So I don't necessarily see the weight as a bad thing. As long as he's able to rehab and it doesn't really cause him to lose his step.
If he's getting separation, that's something that, Clemson needed badly. So Peyton Page, 317, down from 335. Walker Parks, 314, up 14. Dietrich Pennington, 360, up from 335. Will Putnam, 313, up from 305. As you mentioned, Adam Randle, 230, up from 215. Colin Sadler already at 323. Bob Sadler's son there.
Baby boy. Bob Sadler's baby boy.
323.
They
wow.
got some
up from
great,
295.
I have to say, all the freshmen showed a lot of progress as far as their weight went. Even guys that are kind of being slept on, and how everyone was doubting a lot of people.
Not sleeping on anybody yet.
Well, I know that we're not, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Oh, you're just talking about figurative speech.
Figuratively, But like looking at somebody like Jaheim Lawson, people were just kind of like, well, that's a throwaway scholarship. And now he's 233, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty serious as far as weight. He weighs just 6 pounds less than Kevin Swint. And so I'm interested to see kind of how he progresses, because he added a lot of weight. Who's to say
233? Yep.
Yeah. Who's to say he can't add 10 to 12 more pounds and really kind of start pushing for playing time in the next year?
Antonio Williams, 192. DJU, 235. EJ Williams, 191. Brian Tucker, 333. XT, 254. We talked about that last week, how he's at 15% body fat. Kevin Swint, 239. The goal must have been 240 for the linebackers. Well, and they all basically hit it.
Swint's not a linebacker though. Swint's.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Swint's probably the only one, and I hate when people critique weights of people. I kind of agree with Nikki in that way, because it's like, you don't know what's going on with their workouts or what's going on. 239 though, for someone who's switching from linebacker to end, kind of light, but at the same time, if you just get 4 more pounds, nobody's really going to notice. If you're 243 and I think Swint's like 6'4", 243, yeah, a little light, whatever, but it's okay.
So I'm looking at the depth chart. A lot of people asking about wide receivers. To me, I went out there and I said Joe Ngata, Bo Collins, and EJ Williams. I think they will be a combination that you'll see often as long as they're healthy. I think Bo Collins can be that guy who fits into that option route in the slot position and continues his success last year, not because he should play slot, but because he has that connection with DJ that the other wide receivers seem to not have last year. And because he went to high school with them and they played together. So there is a little bit of past history there. So I'm saying that, you continue with what worked last year. Who were your starters in the Iowa State game? Joe Ngata, EJ Williams, Bo Collins. Those are the guys that you want to continue to build upon their experience and the connection with the quarterback. That's what's going to help DJ be the best he can be, is that consistency with the people that he's throwing to. Now, is there a more traditional slot guy that I'd rather have, like an Antonio Williams or a Brandon Spector or a Will Taylor? Yeah, I'd like to see that more shifty Hunter Renfrow, Amari Rogers type slot guy in that position again. But really, it's whatever's going to make DJ the most comfortable, because as a lot of people in chat are saying, I'm so thankful that the chat is coming around with this. The best case scenario for Clemson is that their 5-star junior quarterback, their former 5-star quarterback, rights the ship and figures it out and dominates and gains his confidence and wins the way we know, or the way we believe he can. The best case scenario is not for him to pack his bags and be second fiddle to a true freshman. That's not the best case scenario. As much as your frustration would want it to be that way, and believe me, show me a couple of bad balls and I might be saying it again. But emotions taken out of it, the best case scenario is that DJ does well this year for the Clemson Tigers. And the best way to do that, as Dabo mentioned many times, is to surround him with pieces that will help him be successful. Houston, this morning, I literally didn't sleep at all last night, by the way. I go to softball practice. I come home and I haven't had dinner. It's like 8:00, 8:30. I eat like 3 slices of Papa John's pizza. Well, I'm over 35 now, Houston. I can't be eating Papa John's pizza and breadsticks at 8:30 at night. I was up freaking all night. And then I had to go into the radio at 4 in the morning, so I literally have had no sleep today. But what I will say is that I think that, coming into this season, the best thing that you can do is to rally around DJ and say, hey, he needs to be successful going into this season. If you don't think that way, then it really it's just going to make everything worse. I feel like you don't really want a true freshman that just got in here to take over. And no matter how great he is.
Yes, I have some breaking news, by the way. Well, not breaking.
Oh boy, breaking news.
It's not anything crazy. All right, from Ross Taylor, AD, one update on today's weights reflected on the site. Weights for Barrett Carter and Josiah Carlton were initially transposed. Carter weighs in at 224 pounds.
Oh.
240. So, breaking news.
Breaking news. Thank you for the update there. Thank you for the update. Thank you.
Yes, 220. As if anyone cared. Barrett Carter.
I cared.
He's 224 pounds.
I cared.
But yeah, I think we would need DJ to do well, to your initial point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, let's get in the chat. Let's say hello to some people. I'm losing. I've somehow. Oh, there it is. I'm like, where's the chat box? Jared Clark, Bible Belt Beauties, AU guys, Tyson, Huffer, Billy, got Clemson, Carson, Bible Belt, Christopher Jones. Everybody's still in. John Sarian, thank you so much for staying in and being a part of the show. Matt B says, pulling for DJ, just can't unsee last year. That's true. Just can't unsee last year. It was pretty bad. Like I said, I mean, I'm not somebody who is going to pretend like it was better than it was, because that you just can't do that. I mean, I'm a realist here. But at the end of the day, it's for the better of the team that he improve. And I think that him getting lighter will help him improve. He cannot be at 260. And he mentioned that he cannot be at 260. The 234 is, I think, a good size for him. And we'll see what the Clemson can do. Now, for the slot receiver position, I do feel like, going back to that, I do feel like that, eventually they could maybe work in one of those traditional slot guys. But whatever pieces you can get to make DJ the most comfortable. And again, are they making strides towards improvement? The first thing is, are they getting their offensive line bigger? Yes, we know that. We know that as of today. Yes. Are they getting their wide receivers healthy? Yes, we know that they're hopefully going to stay healthy. It just goes from there to see what they can do, if they can build on it, or what happens in 2022. But again, exciting stuff really to talk about, because really, like I said, it was like 32 days away. All right, Houston, I'm going to change up some gears here.
Okay.
This is from the Bleacher Report website. Bleacher Report, excuse me, Bleacher Report College Football 2022 betting locks, Heisman picks. All right, so now, who do you think he has as the number one Heisman pick for 2022?
I feel like it's CJ Stroud or Bryce Love.
You're 100% correct. Betting on him to be the favorite. I'm assuming it's because of Jackson Smith and Jigba and the other wide receivers that they have there, that they're talented, that are around him. Julian Fleming, I believe. And then, I can't remember the other guy's name. But obviously the offense, we all anticipate that the Ohio State offense is going to be pretty electric this season. Would you agree?
I would think so. I know the other day they said they were going to be favored by double digits in every game, and I think that's a little bit outlandish. I know they're good, but they lost 2 games last year to Oregon and Michigan pretty handily. And I don't know if that defense is going to be as improved as they say. I think they can win all 12 games that they play, but to be double-digit favorites is kind of a
I
push.
still don't understand why in the spring game they played two-hand touch every other series. And we asked our Ohio State fan that joins the show frequently, and he didn't even know. Had no idea why they were doing that. I hadn't seen anything like that. It was very weird, and it wasn't every single series. They would hit each other one series, and then they would two-hand touch the next series. So he also puts up here, take a look at Will Anderson Jr., linebacker for Alabama. I don't know. I think it would be extremely difficult. As Walt Deptula says many times, it's really turned into another quarterback trophy. So for a linebacker to win it, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, the odds are about plus 2,000.
No, you're not going to have any. There's been, and look, this isn't, Will Anderson is a great defensive player, but there's better defensive players from him that should have been considered that didn't even make the list. I think that in a given year, if the field is a little light, he could be invited, kind of like 2012 and Manti Te'o got invited to the Heisman ceremony, which was an absolute joke. But I think the field is going to be a little too loaded to have Will Anderson invited to New York.
They also put up on this report Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, the quarterback. Are you buying Tyler Van Dyke?
I mean, he's a good quarterback. I'm not necessarily buying Miami yet. And who knows? They could be 9-1 coming into Clemson if all things go right. And that's a big if. We don't know kind of how this whole experiment with Mario Cristobal is going to go. And all things considered, he only won one Rose Bowl at Oregon with everything that he had at his disposal there.
Yeah, interesting.
Oregon had a propensity to lose games they shouldn't have lost. And I mean, you think about the games they lost last year. This is coming after beating Ohio State in the shoe. They go and lose to a bad Stanford team on the road. They get blown out on the road at Utah, and then go to the Pac-12 title game and get smacked in the mouth by what most people would say on paper is an outmanned Utah team. They got smacked twice. So I'm not going to say that's going to happen at Miami. It's a different recruiting base. They can recruit all of Florida. They're doing it really well. But I think right now, kind of like how North Carolina was last year and the year before, they're the trendy pick. There's always going to be somebody trendy in the ACC. I guarantee you in the next 2 years it'll be Florida State. Whenever they decide to make the move to get Deion Sanders, they'll be trendy for a while. So there's always going to be this trendy pick in the ACC, and I think that's what Miami is right now.
AU guys gets in, says he can't honestly say that Clemson doesn't have a Will Anderson style player themselves. They have plenty of that caliber or potential on Clemson's defense. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, you got like a guy like Trenton Simpson, who I believe everybody agrees is an elite outside linebacker, and Barrett Carter, as we know, I project Barrett Carter to be that other guy that could, jump out on the scene this year. So I think that Clemson also has two outside linebackers that could be in the mix after the season's over with. I know this is obviously preseason, so that's one thing. All right, so recently, Athlon Sports. I don't know if you saw this, but recently Athlon Sports ACC coaches talk anonymously about conference foes. All right, anonymous. All right, so they talk anonymously about the ACC foes, and I'm thinking, let's hear what they have to say about Clemson. These are unnamed, it would be anonymous coaches. You ready for this, Houston?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, quote, I think losing Brent Venables is going to be really interesting. He was such a force there. It's more than losing a coordinator. He drove the whole thing on defense. The good thing for them is that they have really good players on defense right now. I think Wes Goodwin did a good job in the bowl game running the same scheme. He's really smart, but there are huge shoes to fill. How you feel about that?
I mean, it's not necessarily controversial. Like, I take any anonymous coach speak and basically toss it out the window.
Really?
Yeah, because, I mean, who are we talking about here? I mean, these are the same anonymous coaches that were saying that, we've gotten good on defense. Clemson has gotten good on defense for just stealing signals for all these years. And I'm just kind of like, whatever. You don't know which coach is saying it. It could be somebody off of NC State staff that has a grudge against Clemson. It could be somebody that doesn't, that gets what they know about Clemson out of the press clippings. And so, like, I don't really care what other coaches think. If you look at they'll say that Clemson's not recruiting at the level that it was. It's like, buddy, I don't know what you're looking at. They don't recruit wide receivers. I look at Antonio Williams and Adam Randle. Those guys are going to be good. Look at what they got with Noble Johnson. He's a dog. I just think right now the people that they're putting out there that are saying, oh, they're not as good as they once were. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're right. But at the same time, I also feel like a lot of these – well, I was saying, like, maybe at the same time, I feel like a lot of these coaches are focused on their own programs. So they're not going to have a ton of time to focus on what Clemson's doing necessarily.
You know what they say? I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I always was. So you could –
yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but, all right, so the next one is the 3 defensive linemen are back. The linebacker and the freshman safety is tremendous. There's a core there where they can keep it going, and it'll look about the same this year. So I think the first quote was an obvious. Of course, there's going to be a change. There's going to be a change of guard. It's not going to be the same. Wes Goodwin's already talked about how he doesn't want it to be the same. He wants to build on the foundations that are there and not scrap everything and continue the success that Brent Venables has had. But he also has mentioned, hey, there's no need to install a lot of these different, audible packages that no one can remember but Brent Venables, so or Wes Goodwin actually could probably be the only other guy that could probably remember it. But and it also hurts your offense in practice when they're trying to figure out their way in general. We've heard that many times that Wes Goodwin is holding back from installing things so that the offense can get up to speed because they were behind last year. They were 100th in the nation. They need help. They don't need the most complex defense going at them in practice when they can't even figure out the snap count or where to stand or who to block. They need to figure out the fundamentals and the execution first before they get hit with the most aggressive, most complex defenses that are out there. All right, so this one is a little bit more controversial, I guess, and more straightforward. I don't think the QB is a great player. They thought he was when Trevor was out against Notre Dame, and maybe that fooled them. It's not out of the question that they change guys. They're also not as good around him. They haven't evaluated well at offensive line like other positions.
And that's where I just say toss that.
Toss that one?
Yeah, I would just say, with DJ, he had a bad year. Yeah, the offense was down last year, but to just be like, well, their evaluations are just not good. It's like, you're an idiot. And that's why you're going to be fired in 3 or 4 years, as far as whatever coach said that. Because they did. You look at what they're doing on offensive line, it is objectively better than what it was when Dabo Swinney took over. Objectively. And they're finally getting guys to consistently contend with championship caliber teams. What happens with DJ? Yeah, sure, they might be right with that if he doesn't pan out. But to also just be like, well, we don't fear, because I think in that same sentence they said we don't really fear wide receivers. I'm telling you, they haven't gone anywhere. They had a rough year last year, but they got dudes. And you can sleep on that all you want. But eventually, Dakari Collins is going to come in and punch you in your mouth next year, or Bo Collins, or Antonio Williams, or Adam Randle, or Jake Bringstel. You get punched in the mouth. So keep thinking that.
Receivers have fallen off. Receivers have fallen off when they were really rolling and winning natties. That position flat out scared you. Now they're league average, same as running back.
Yeah,
wow,
that coach is going to be fun. I'm telling you, that coach will be whoever the coach is.
Who is that?
He's not a good coach. That coach is not a good coach, whoever he is, and he's going to be fired in the next 3 years. I'm going to tell you that.
They're not recruiting like they have. There's also a giant difference between NIL and in the ACC and the Big Ten and SEC. They're beating Alabama. Are they beating Alabama and those guys from here on out? They are still the best program in this league, but they've never had as many questions moving forward. This is the start of the next era for them, and it's possible they're not a national title winner anymore.
Or that coach is fired in the next 3 years.
I mean, you never know. With these anonymous coaches, it could have been the same coach, right?
Yeah, it could have been Dave Doran, Pat Narduzzi, or any of their salty bunch of.
A lot of people in the chat saying Pat Narduzzi.
Well, yeah, he's an idiot anyway. So
you heard it here first. Maybe not first. You probably have heard it before. Who knows? Better not be holding back the D. That's what they say. I would say Huffer Billy, he says, better not be holding back the D for our offensive line to feel good about themselves. It's not about feeling good about yourself. I think. I used to feel this way. I'm like, why would you not just do what you've always done? But think about it. I mean, your offense is behind. Your offense needs a shot in the arm. They need some positivity. They need some success. They need to install their package. They got guys that are younger that are still trying to learn and develop themselves. They've got guys that are trying to get on the same page. It's not fair to throw at them the second best defense in the nation in practice. Now, I'm not saying in games you don't want to go against the best. Yeah, you want to go against the best in games, but in practice, sometimes, you know what? Like, I'm thinking about this. I could go out, Houston. I'm trying to teach my daughter softball. I could go out and I could throw fast pitch balls to her. And I could say, well, you know what? Eventually they're going to be throwing fast pitch at you. You better get used to it now. I'm going to throw you what I can do. I'm going to throw you my potential, the best that I can do. Well, what do you think she's going to be able to do? Now, this is a difficult situation because obviously it's a kid, but I think that there is some value in letting your offense figure things out, especially after a year that you had.
Yeah. No, I mean, in some cases, I mean, I think they're saying that some to allow some installs to happen in the spring. I don't think there's going to be any holdback in the fall. It's full steam ahead. Spring is a different time of like reevaluation and bringing everything in, but like with the fall, it's full speed ahead as far as that goes. So I think there might be some changes there, but I think it's going to be full speed ahead.
And I'm not going to do it, Houston. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Oh man. Oh yeah.
You finally found a private chat.
You got to say, if you're going to think it, you got to say it. You can't tell me to say it. You can't tell me to say it.
This is a PG rated show, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're WWE here. We're WWE. Right, PG only.
PG only.
Oh man.
Full steam ahead with the D this year.
Though. I'm curious because Walt Deptula has really been high on NC State and just how much better they are and how awesome they're going to be and how dominant and how Clemson better watch out and their defense is amazing and Levy is the real deal at quarterback. Let's see what the thoughts are on them. Okay, so quotes here for NC State. Last year might have been the proof of concept that the staff has been trying to deliver since they got there. Lots of things clicked for them, and the Clemson win was bigger than the moment. They can take that out of the Carolinas and recruit with it. It's proof of concept for Dave Doran. The quarterback, Devin Leary, is legit. He was a different guy he was playing injured, but you got a much better idea of his talent last year. The one outside receiver, Emeka Emezi, was really good. They need to find that production with the other guys they have, but I don't think they're at that caliber. The tackle, Akeem Ikwanu, is going to the league as a first rounder. They need to replace him, but otherwise the line is pretty good. If they can swap in some new running backs, I expect them to keep on pace. Well, here's the thing. You expect them to keep on pace on offense. Now, I would expect them to keep on pace on defense because they're keeping their core guys. I think they're returning like 9 out of 11 on defense. But on offense, we have to come to a realization, if you're pumping up NC State right now, that you've lost your number one wide receiver. You've lost your 2 running backs that were a heavy dose of your offense last year. You've lost a left tackle that was one of the top draft picks in the NFL draft. Okay. You're not just as NC State. Losing those pieces, Houston, is hard to replace at Clemson. You're not just all of a sudden replacing those at North Carolina State. There is going to be an issue there.
Like, let's be honest though. Like, they had plenty of moments last year, even with all of that, where they looked average.
I mean, Clemson it was an away game, and it took double overtime.
One play, all they needed one play, and Clemson wins that game. Right? If DJ doesn't throw a pick, Clemson wins that game.
You could say that about all 3 games.
Yeah, you could say that about last year. You could say NC State could have easily been 7-5 last year had they not gotten a pick from DJ and an onside kick against UNC. 7-5, completely different thing if 2 plays don't happen that direction. And I'm just looking over some of their other games: 28-14 over Florida State, who was not very good; 28-13 against an average Louisville team; 34-27 against a bad Louisiana Tech team; losses against an average Mississippi State team; 24-10 on the road. They got hammered in that game. Lost to an average Miami team, 31-30, and then lost to NC State, the team that Clemson, the worst offense Clemson's had in a decade. Clemson beat Wake Forest 48-27. NC State lost 45-42. So I feel like this is one of those things where obviously Clemson is not going to take NC State lightly. No one's going to take NC State lightly. But I'd be willing to leverage that the first 4 games, NC State is going to have more problems to those games than they anticipate. They're playing ECU, Texas Tech. One of them's a throwaway game in UConn, too. So I feel like at least against Texas Tech and against ECU, they're going to have more problems than they thought. And whether they're 4-0 or not, being the first ACC game against a seasoned Clemson team that's already played Georgia Tech, they've already played at Wake Forest, if they're 4-0 as well, hungry, gassed-up Clemson team in a gassed-up environment against NC State, who may or may not, we'll see, they may blow out every team going into that game, but I just don't think that matchup is very conducive for them that night, and that could make or break their season.
Another topic here, changing gears. Conference expansion. I know this is one of your favorite things to talk about. So this is why I wanted to bring it up. Conference expansion for the SEC. Dan Patrick comes out and says he thinks the SEC will try to add 3 major programs. And those 3 major programs, you ask? He feels like that if the Big Ten adds Notre Dame, then the SEC is going to make a run at Clemson, Florida State, and the Miami Hurricanes, and that it'll be a push to compete within each other and have the 2 super conferences there. What do you think about that?
I think there's definitely going to be more than those 3, and I think there's reason to believe that the SEC, if they're going to make a move, has an incentive to take more than just those 3 schools. The grant of rights, I believe, is null and voided if over 7 or 8 teams end up saying peace, we're out, right? 7 teams, I believe. And if it's 8 with Notre Dame. So what's to stop the SEC from saying, all right, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, they got the football brands. Virginia Tech, that's a new market. North Carolina, NC State, and Duke, we get to keep a basketball rivalry, and we get a football team in NC State. Let's just take them. We don't even have to worry about.
I like that your point there, because I feel like that a lot of people forget about the fact that these other teams that aren't, the be-all, end-all college football teams still have a lot of tradition and a huge fan base and actually a big brand behind them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose that.
Here's the thing that I think is going to end up happening, though, and this could very well be pie in the sky. This could very well be not anything. Everybody seems to have a set number, whether it's 20 or 24 or whatever. But here's my thing. If it's really going to be 2 super leagues, if it's really going to be the Big Ten and it's really going to be just the Big Ten and the SEC, what's to stop the SEC from being like, all right, we're just going to take every Southern brand we can and then also add in a couple of non-Southern markets just to stick it to the Big Ten, just to stick it in there. That could be as many as 32. That could be as many as 40. I don't know. But, I mean, if you're really going to have 2 leagues, you can really flip over the rocks and find value in a lot of these teams, whether it's in Texas with TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. I feel like it's got a lot of value to them. People watch those games. If they wanted to branch out west to Arizona, Arizona State, BYU, Utah, people watch those games. Or who's to say that current Big Ten teams wouldn't be interested in joining, like Nebraska? Nebraska hasn't seemed like they're really happy with being in the Big Ten since they left the Big 12. If you start getting that ball rolling with the SEC, just be like, hey, you want to play Kansas and Kansas State and Oklahoma every year again instead of having to deal with all this drivel like you had to deal with COVID and everything? Come over with us. Come with us. I could even see them branching into the Northeast, getting West Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Penn State out of those central kind of college football heavy areas just to make the Big Ten squirm. Because that's what the SEC is about. They're not about necessarily it's a mixture of money and winning. They want to be the center of attention as far as that goes. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Right now, to us as Clemson fans, we go, oh, the SEC. But as soon as Clemson makes that inevitable move, I think the SEC, we're going to be like, I would say at that point you need to get a lot of teams in there. So that way Clemson doesn't have to deal with playing Alabama, LSU, Auburn every single week. We can balance that out with playing some ACC teams as well.
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, the grant of rights is still kind of a big elephant in the room about what they can and can't do, and it's an expensive elephant there to be able to address for sure. All right, everybody. Well, we're right at the 8:30 mark, and Houston, I just didn't even realize we just kept on going, but we had a good time. I'll stop at 8:30 so that we can take a break and maybe go check out the game if it's on now. Hopefully, maybe it's on by now. That would be the Hall of Fame game with the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, majority of the people you want to see play are actually sitting out, so it's going to be an interesting matchup. But at least it's football. And if you don't like it, then maybe you can go watch some of the replays of this show. But we really appreciate you getting in on the show. Don't forget to hit the like button and make sure to hit the share button as well. Be a friend, share with a friend. And as always, Tiger fans, we will see you at the top of the hill. Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home. And take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.